What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Happy Friday. I hope everyone is having a good day thus far and are getting ready for the weekend, assuming you're not working today. If you are working, hopefully it goes by fairly quickly for you. So, again, you can get into that weekend. Uh, got a few things going to talk about this morning. Nothing too crazy. Got some. I feel like we talked about this before, where it would feel like once the casting announcements were to start, it would feel like we would just get nonstop casting updates. And we have now another casting update for Dexter Resurrection. And actually, and even in the article that came out yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, that mentions this casting news. We actually, I don't know if they intended to release it or leak it, but we now have an episode count, which we hadn't received before. And if you don't read through the article and get to the end and you just, kind of glance over the casting information, you wouldn't notice it. Again, they kind of put it towards the end and almost, I don't want to say buried it, but in a roundabout way, mentioned it as far as who would be running the first 4 episodes and then the last 4 episodes, which gives us what an 8 episode season, which again I'm never a fan of, but we'll talk about that when we get there. We also have a trailer for a new film that just came out on Netflix. I would review the trailer. We would do typically a review reaction video, or I would even do it live, but because it is a Netflix content, I know they're going to copyright it, so they'll either pull us down on our live show, or they're just going to copyright strike it all together on a video that we try to upload it. So I'll at least share the article with you all. We'll share the details if you want to go check out the film. We are going to watch the film this weekend and at least do a movie review, full spoiler review of it. So that will be coming soon. But just in case anyone would like to check it out for themselves ahead of time, we'll share those details. Plus, more Alien Earth information that I think is great, but information that I'm not necessarily wanting. What the information I want, we haven't gotten yet. And then we'll round this out with some interesting information about the monkey. You guys always hear me talk about, I like the behind the scenes, the things that happen off camera. But this one actually happened during the film. I don't know, many people who saw the film probably may have just saw it at surface level and didn't realize the director was in it, and the director gave himself a pretty crazy send-off in the film. So we're going to check that out as well. But as I pull up the articles, there is something I want to touch on before we get into a lot of the horror content for this morning's show. So we're just going to jump over to it. So two individuals I want to mention this morning. As you see here, this came out just a couple days ago. We found out that, as you see, Buffy the Vampire Slayer actress Michelle Trachtenberg has passed away. She was 39 years old, far, far too young to have passed away. Now, we're not going to read all the details of this article. Again, I'm sure many of you have heard this information, especially if you're within the horror community, or even if you're a Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, you may have heard this, and maybe some people haven't heard of this information. But yeah, she has passed away. We don't have any information as to what the cause of death was. Not that honestly really matters. It's just the fact that she's no longer with us, right? So that is a very unfortunate news. And then if you didn't hear as well, so I'm going to pull up. He wasn't a horror actor. He wasn't in horror movies, TV shows. Regardless, though, Gene Hackman, 95, had passed away alongside his wife as well. He was 95, she was 63. Now, this one I'm not going to jump into any conspiracy theories. We're not going to jump into what's going on as far as what's being investigated. But when this news first came out, they quickly said no suspicious activity. They passed away. But now, as the more and more is being unveiled, it looks like they are investigating this for any potential suspicious activity, just because of how they found him, how they found her, and also how they found their pet, their dog. Also, all three were found deceased. So, just sad news. all around for both situations. Regardless of Gene Hackman being 95, obviously lived a very long life, but regardless, you don't want to see anything nefarious happening when it comes to somebody's life. Hopefully, this doesn't turn out to be anything, but again, they are investigating it for suspicious activity. And again, we're not going to jump into any conspiracy theories. I'll say I'm outside of, you know, as we see here outside of both Michelle's body of work outside Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I'm not very familiar with. Now, Gene Hackman is very different for me. One of the very first films I saw with Gene Hackman in it was obviously for many people my age was Superman, but one of the films that's always been a favorite of mine, which he has a huge body of work. He's done a lot of great films, but one of them will always be Crimson Tide. He starred alongside Denzel Washington, had a lot of great actors in that film, but one of my favorite ones. But again, hopefully the investigation turns up nothing, but just wanted to just take a moment and recognize both these individuals for their work, for what they provide to us as far as whether it's TV, movies, and Gene Hackman also did some theater work as well. So yeah, very sad to see in both circumstances. So all right, so we're gonna move right into some of the horror content now. So I brought this up and I wanted to call this one out specifically. The Undertone. Nina Kiri of The Handmaid's Tale has the only on-camera speaking role in new horror film. So I found this to be interesting because we've seen various other films being done outside of horror over the last several years. I mean, this concept of having one person really being the focal point of a film, maybe having the only talking point, or being the only on-screen individual, but various other people talking. Like we had Phone Booth, we've had various other films where, again, it's just one actor, but they're conversating through people through phone, through various other aspects, right? But I thought this was interesting for a horror movie that she's going to have the only on-camera speaking role. When we look at the details of this, though, it obviously doesn't give away too much, but I'm not sure how this is going to work for a horror film. So let's look at some of the details of this. Coming our way from Slaterverse Pictures, Black Fawn Films, and Kino Studios, The Undertone follows the host of an all things creepy podcast who moves into her dying mother's house to be her primary caregiver when her podcast is sent 10 audio recordings of a young pregnant couple experiencing a paranormal noises. She realizes the woman's story is a mirror of her own, and each new recording scratches at her sanity, drawing her into a fate she cannot escape. So she may have the only on-screen speaking role, but if she's running a podcast, is this going to be a situation where I don't think we're going to have like some people have podcasts where they have people calling in, they take questions or have conversations. I think this is strictly going to be her podcast. She's doing recordings. She gets these recordings and listens to them, and that's going to be the movie. And we're going just to see her descent into insanity, or trying to figure out what these recordings mean to her, how they link to her story. Again, though, for a horror film, I think this might be I think this is a risky take for a horror film. Again, not to say it's never been done, but in today's horror movie environment, is this something that people are really going to gravitate towards? I think what we've seen lately, especially last year going into this year, it seems like many people in the community are wanting more of the gore, killer, slasher type films. And that's unfortunate because I think a lot gets taken away from the psychological horror films, the suspense, what's around the corner, and they kind of leave it to your imagination as to what's happening. Now, I get those are not for everybody. I understand that. I know we've also seen a lot of like religious horror films, exorcist type films, and that is even for a lot of people as well. That's a subgenre many people don't necessarily like to get into. You've all heard me say before, though, that is one of my favorite subgenres in horror by far. But this one here, I feel like we also have other horror films coming out this year that are leaning more towards uh, social media, like the focus is on social media influencers are all gathering at this cabin, or social media influencers are going to be attacked by this spirit through their computer. I mean, we've covered some of those upcoming films in previous daily episodes, and now we have this one that's focusing on someone who strictly does a podcast, and she has the only speaking role. So I don't know if the genre is trying to shift and turn the ship in a direction to be more um, in connection with what many people do today, like social media influencers, like podcasters, and they're trying to bring that into the genre for a connection amongst the community, amongst fans, amongst viewers. But I can say for myself, I I'll give it a chance. I'll watch it, but I don't necessarily want to see the genre shift from gore, slasher, suspenseful, psychological type movies into I'm just watching a bunch of horror films for the next 2 to 3 years about, oh, we have a group of social media influencers who are being attacked through their computer or their phones or their tablets or through AI. I don't necessarily want to see an abundance of that because, as you've heard me say before, one or two here or there I'm okay with, but I'm okay with that across all subgenres. I don't want to see an influx of nothing but religious horror or body horror slashers. I want a nice mix of things, but I also want a nice mix of new ideas, new concepts. I think we've seen some of those this year. Unfortunately, they didn't resonate with fans. I think because there wasn't enough marketing behind them. Otherwise, I think they could have been successful, and I think they will be successful films on POD, on streaming, things of that nature. But it's unfortunate that it's just not going to find its audience in a theater, and rightfully so. I don't think a lot of these films are meant to be theater driven, and we had that conversation earlier this week on our previous live show where I don't think some of these mid-level indie type films are really meant for theatrical release. I think they're going to find their followings on streaming or digital, POD, what have you, rentals, things of that nature. Because I think that's what many people are going to find these types of horror films. I know many of us in the community have found, like through Screenbox or Shudder, have found a lot of great films and TV series through those streaming services that never would have gotten a theatrical release and never would have been given a chance on something like Netflix or Hulu. And we're going to touch on the Netflix aspect here in a moment, so I'm going to lead into that. But I am interested in to see this. I just think it's a big risk that they're taking by just having someone, a one person speaking role, and only a one person on camera. So we'll have to see how this one turns out. There's no date for this one as of yet. We have nothing as far as who's starring in it and what the concept is going to be. So we have in the chat. What's up, Aaron? How you doing? Hope you're having a good day. I know it's pretty late for you, actually. I think it's it's almost 2 a.m. for you. Man, man, you're burning that oil for sure. So moving into our next topic, and we've been covering nonstop. As far as we've been keeping up on all the castings, we've been keeping up on any information that comes out of this because we will be covering Dexter Resurrection once it starts releasing. We'll be doing an episode by episode review and summary, but we have more casting news. But there, again, as I mentioned, there's something hidden in this article. So as you see here, Dexter Resurrection cast Kristen Ritter. First details of high-profile arc tease her as one of Dexter's serial killer victims. So we're not going to so much I mean, that pretty much says it right there for her. But what I find interesting, though, in this article, and as you can see, she's just in a guest role, which would make sense if she's just going to be one of the victims of Dexter. But one of the things I want to jump down to, oh, and it does mention here that this Dexter Resurrection is literally going to fall on the heels of Dexter New Blood. So I'm not sure if they're going to mention the prequel as far as, because the Dexter New Blood, or at least Original Sin, I'm sorry, picks up where Dexter New Blood was, kind of ending, and then our thought was his resurrection would pick up at that same point. He's in the hospital, he's going to wake up, and that's just going to, when we'll continue on, right? But one of the things I wanted to point out is here at the bottom of the article. Let's see where it's at here. Got to keep going. It's somewhere right. I know we it mentions in here as far as the episodes. So we may just have to read through this, but I know it's that's why I specifically wanted to bring up this article. Again, I know it's in here, so just give me a moment and let's find it real quick. Would likely brand new mindset story, female serial killers. Okay, so I can't find it right now, but I'll put the link for this article in the description below. But it does mention that the first 4 episodes of this are going to be directed by one individual, and the last 4 are going to be directed by another individual, which is giving us an 8-episode count. So that's something we didn't know before that we now have. Again, I know it's in this article. I just now can't find it off the top of my head. But I think, as you guys know, I'm not big when it comes to 8-episode TV series. I think 8 episodes is far too little. I think for me, the 10 episodes is the sweet spot if you're going to do something like this. I think doing 8 episodes kind of puts you in a bind where, especially if you have a episode 4 or 5 being like that filler episode that you're really just using to, I guess, take up space, so to speak. And unfortunately, a lot of 8-episode shows do that. They have that filler episode where they'll just use it for backstory, or they're just really using it to fill in a gap that they feel is necessary. And that's why I don't necessarily agree with the 8-episode format. And we've even seen some series like Doom Prophecy did a 6-episode format. I don't even think it really worked for them. I think 8 episodes, they needed at least 8 episodes for that story. But this here, 8 episodes, again, I would like to see 10. Obviously, we're not getting 10. We don't know if Resurrection is going to be a one and done. I think, obviously, like Original Sin, I think they're just going to play it out, see how it performs, and then move on with the next show, and then come back, look at the numbers, and say, do we move forward? Because right now, there's been Clyde Phillips has talked about doing a season 2 of Original Sin and what he would like to see and do. But again, I don't know if we're necessarily going to see that, especially with this on the horizon coming this summer, and then them still wanting to do the Dexter Trinity Killer prequel as well. So again, I think we might get this. We might get a little bit more information about a Original Sin season 2. But I think if they do anything after Dexter Resurrection, it's more than likely going to be the Trinity prequel. They'll wait, see how Resurrection numbers performed, and move on. Now, Dexter Original Sin, according to Showtime, performed amazingly as far as the numbers go. Had some of the highest numbers overall, especially the premiere episode. So obviously there's a want from the fans to see more Dexter. So I think this might create a Dexterverse moving forward. So I think it's just going to be a matter of time before that we start seeing maybe multiple spin-offs, multiple prequels of key characters from this universe. I just don't, again, like anything else, I'm okay getting some of it, but I'm not okay just being flooded with it, because then I think it's just going to take away from the overall experience of it, in my opinion. Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing, in my opinion. So, but just something I wanted to call out. Like I said, I know it's in this article where they mentioned the 8-episode count, but obviously we have additional casting news, which is one of the primary reasons why I wanted to share this as well. So, all right. So real quickly, as I was mentioning about Netflix and Hulu both coming out with original content, we were going to do a trailer review reaction for this film. This is a demon-possessed hitman gets violent revenge in Japanese Netflix movie Demon City. Now, the reason why we're not doing a trailer review reaction for this is because it's Netflix. Netflix will either pull down our live show right now if we try to watch the trailer, or they will copyright us on a video if we upload it. Because we did have a video up on the SAG Awards, specifically Demi Moore winning for The Substance. We briefly showed the Scream Queen's tribute, and we had it up for a couple days, and then we immediately got it. We didn't get a strike or anything, but they immediately came back and said copyright Netflix content, and they blocked the entire video. So that's unfortunate. You would think, hey, we're out here promoting, your platform, your content, right? You'd think they'd want you out there doing that, but apparently not. So we're not going to be taking a look at this trailer, but I wanted to make this aware of everybody. This article came out yesterday, and Demon City is already on the platform. At least it is for the US. I did go out there. I did confirm it's out there. I've added it to my queue, so I will be watching it this weekend and coming back early, either this weekend or early next week, with a full spoiler movie review of it. So be on the lookout for that. But again, just wanted to bring this up to anybody who's interested in this type of genre of films, especially international films. Yeah, as you can see here, you have the list of casting here, and it's based off Magna. I'm not even sure how to pronounce that. I'm not going to try to pronounce it, but again, you have the information here and the trailer. So yeah, just go out there, watch the trailer. I've watched the trailer. It looks really good. I would highly recommend it if you're into this type of stuff. So, all right. So the last couple things we're going to talk about. It's going to be a pretty short show this morning. Alien Earth, immersive experience launching at SXSW. So again, I'm not going to read through all this, but the reason I want to bring this up is this talks about an experience that they're going to be bringing to, of course, to LA through March 7th and 8th. And it seems like, I mean, they're putting a lot of push behind this franchise ever since Alien Romulus. Now, we've been getting Alien Earth, tidbits, crumbs for several months, and I just don't understand why we haven't gotten anything as far as specifics about the story and actually a full trailer. We've gotten very small teasers, 10-second teasers, 30-second teasers, nothing really giving us all that much about what we're going to be expecting. But everything else outside of that, they're giving us, like this experience, like this immersive experience. Now, this does mention down here about what the experience is going to be. This is the official press release, time of days. It's also going to be in Texas as well. It does mention down here. Now, this is something you guys have heard me harp on. So this confirms it. Set 2 years before Ridley Scott's Alien Earth follows, and gives a brief synopsis here. So one thing I want to call out here, it says in the synopsis, the search crew must fight for survival, and what they choose to do with this discovery could change planet Earth as they know it. So I'm wondering if this here is where they're going to get out of the issues of the storytelling of the original Alien film, especially Aliens, which was the second film, because in Aliens, Paul Reiser's character Burke, the whole premise is that they wanted to get some of these embryos, these aliens, back to this major space station that's orbiting Earth, back to Earth to do studies on. And they were presenting it as they had no idea that these things have never been to Earth. And even Ripley was like, these things can't get back to Earth. They will destroy Earth. So they're going under this understanding that this has never been to Earth. These have never been on Earth, and we got to keep it away from Earth. This, and my gripe has always been, well, this puts them on Earth, and this is happening as a prequel. Why that would mess up the story of the original films, right? Unless this last sentence is the way they're going to get out of it. Now, if they choose to say, oh, we're going to somehow wipe all databases, all information, we're going to wipe any knowledge of this ever being on Earth, so that in the movies like Alien and Aliens, Alien 3, that's why they believe that the aliens were never on Earth to begin with, and that's why they shouldn't be able to get there. So I wanted to call that because that's been a gripe of mine since we ever got the timeline for this. So we'll have to wait and see. But I just wish they would give us more as far as a trailer and story outside of all this other immersive stuff. Even an episode count, a release date, something outside of this. So last thing we're going to mention on this morning's show is the Monkeys director gave himself the grossest death in the entire movie. So spoilers, if you haven't seen The Monkey yet, this will have spoilers in it. So the director does play a character in this. I didn't know if anybody knew that. He plays Uncle Chip in the film. So we're not going to read through all the details. I just wanted to call that out. If you've seen the film or haven't seen the film, the director does play Uncle Chip, and supposedly gives himself the grossest death in the movie. Now, I want those who have seen this to let us know in the comment section if you feel that that's true. I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to read through the details of the article to spoil it because I know this movie is still very new, still in theaters. Many people haven't seen it yet. Typically wait for that first week or so to pass before they decide to see it. Wait for the crowds to die down. So want to give everyone that opportunity, but just want to call that out that the director is in the movie. He's the uncle. He's Uncle Chip. So be on the lookout and let us know if you agree that that is in fact the grossest death or kill in the entire movie. So real quickly here, Aaron says Netflix is useless. Don't they know that you're giving them free promotion? They should be. Yeah, I agree. See, and that's just the thing. When it's Netflix, it's very like Warner Brothers, Disney, various studios don't like it that whether you do it through a live show or through videos that you upload, whether it's trailers or anything like that. Yeah, they immediately will look to have your video taken down, or if you're on a live show, they'll immediately have your live show taken down as well. And which I think again is unfortunate because we're out here as content creators promoting, hey, this movie is and this content is on Netflix. Go watch it if you have it, and it might even get people to sign up for a free trial, and who knows what that could turn into. They find other content on them they like. Then they go down that route. I know for me, when I first was signing up for some of the other streaming services, I did free trials. And when I found that there was additional content on there I liked, content that I could share here with, those who enjoy horror, I eventually just signed up for but a full subscription, right? So they have me now as a paying customer. So it is unfortunate. I don't understand it myself. You would think they'd want us out there promoting their stuff. So. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for today's live show. Like I said, it's going to be a pretty short one today. I know it's Friday. I want to let everyone get back to enjoying their Friday, enjoying their weekend. So that's going to do it for today. If you haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I just want to say a big thank you to all those who join us here at the live show. Join me in the comment section of the various videos that we have that we put up there on a daily basis. I do my best to respond to everyone's comments. Also, if you didn't know, we do upload not just daily horror content, but we do upload shorts as well. Now, our shorts don't have anything to do with horror. So if you're not big into horror, check out our shorts. We keep it more real life driven, real life content. But we try to keep them anywhere between 5 to 10 seconds, so that they're not long. But make sure you check out our shorts as well. I just will hope everyone enjoys the rest of your Friday, no matter where you're at. Enjoy your weekend, and we will see you at the next one. Peace.